What time is it? Has another hour gone by, John? Because it appears that Wells Fargo is in trouble for another scandal. This is Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media, joined by John Sneisen, author and economic analyst here at WAM. And, we've gone into Wells Fargo so many times. It's amazing that they even exist with a level of scandals that they have constantly faced. Absolutely fraudulent. Warren Buffett's favorite bank has seen its share of problems in the last few years, especially. I mean, most banks have. Wells Fargo just really stands out. They, of course, were caught making fake bank accounts. And as this article goes into, bear in mind that the ink isn't even dry yet on the $1 billion check that Wells Fargo wrote last week as a penalty to settle its previous scandal where they defrauded 570,000 clients in a car insurance scam. By the bank's own estimates, as many as 20,000 of those clients may have had their vehicles repossessed as a result of their inability to pay for the car insurance that Wells Fargo illegally stuck them with. And of course, they basically, no one asked for this insurance. They just got it. They already had insurance on their car. And then they found out, oh, they just forced us into these plans and then repossessed our cars. That's totally inconvenient for anyone that actually works for a living and stuff like that. Anyway, going further into it, and it says, and speaking of vehicle repossession, in November of last year, Wells Fargo came under fire for illegally repossessing vehicles that were owned by members of the military. In October, Wells Fargo took heat from federal regulators after it was found that the bank had deliberately recommended investment products that were highly likely to lose value. Early that month, the bank admitted that it had erroneously charged late fees to more than 100,000 borrowers, even though the delays were the bank's fault. And we can go on and on about all the scandals. Of course, the CEO gave himself a huge pay raise, even though the bank is dealing with some serious monetary issues. We've gone into that in past reports too. So on top of the scandals, it's funny. It's like, well, our bank is in crisis. We're insolvent. I know what we can do. We can make people hate us even more. Well, let's look at the latest scandal. As this article says, scandal 867,241 just hit the news yesterday afternoon. Wells Fargo is now being investigated by the United States Department of Labor. This time, the bank is accused of deliberately pushing customers into more expensive, higher fee retirement accounts that are bad for the customers, but more lucrative for the banks. And John, I don't even know what to add to this anymore because we've gone into Wells Fargo so many times. It just seems like every hour, literally, there is a new scandal coming out of Wells Fargo. Can you go into this most recent scandal?
Well, of course, this is another one, in the just a grand scale of so many other scandals. I actually want to, if Wells Fargo is looking for a new CEO, I'm willing to take on the position as the CEO because I have a plan for Wells Fargo. I'm going to change the name to Wells Fargon. And also on top of that, we're going to burn down all the buildings. Like last time we were talking about, first we're going to create a credit default swap on it. And then we're going to, of course, have all the other banks get in on the fund and insure it. So we could all burn it down and make a whole bunch of money. And then we'll just exit. We'll take all the depositors' money and we're gone.
They may as well have at this point. I mean, and bail-ins are coming too. So to your point about taking depositors' money.
Well, yeah, of course. And talking about depositors' money now, on the last Wells Fargo report we did, Josh, it was a guy that said that he tried to get out $1,600. That's not a lot of money. He tried to get that out in cash, and they actually had to go to another bank in order to get that money. They didn't have $1,600 in one branch. That's insane, Josh. How little money. And that comes back to my report on, the cash versus deposit ratios. And it's just a huge scam that these big, gigantic banks are running. Now, of course, we forgot to mention the, I think it was almost 50 million bank accounts that was created out of thin air,
I mentioned that at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's hard to get track of all these scandals now.
There are about 50,000 other ones that we haven't gone through, and one of them being like the whistleblower that came out against Wells Fargo. We need, if there's anyone working at Wells Fargo high up right now, we need more whistleblowers. If you're watching this video, if you don't have a good conscience, if you can't go to sleep at night knowing the company that you're working for, the bank that you're working for, please blow the whistle. We know you know something. please blow that whistle. We need to bring this bank down because really it's gone insanely far. It went too far, I mean, decades ago, really.
Yeah. Well, I think somebody needs to just take up. I don't know if you ever seen in a barn, when they start to get into a mouse infestation and they just peel off, layers of like tarp or whatever it is and just like scatters with mice everywhere. That's what you probably be looking at if you start peeling, off the layers that Wells Fargo has created in this mass. It's just a bank of epic proportion of scandals. It just goes beyond HSBC now. It seems like they're trying to almost like fight over who is the worst bank in the world. And I think HSBC is trying to, give a little bit of fight to Wells Fargo, but Wells Fargo is leading right now. So I'm hoping for a really big HSBC scandal soon, or else I think we have a winner here.
Yeah. Get your race bets ready, guys. And don't count Deutsche Bank out because Deutsche Bank is coming up there pretty fast too. They're one of the worst ones in the world as well. I mean, a Scotiabank. Wait, let me just go through a whole bunch. PNB Paribas. Let's see. There's Bank of America. There. I don't think that we can really end this at any point soon. We will go all through the night because really the fact of the matter is the banking system, these master manipulators are there for your dependents, just like the government. They work hand in hand with governments and central banks, and the whole idea is to put you in debt, and they make a lot of money off of debt.
They own the central bank. They own the Federal Reserve. Yeah. Wells Fargo owns shares in the Federal Reserve, guys.
Yeah, they depend on your dependents. That's why people have to be more self-sustainable and financially responsible, because in the end, it comes down to you. If your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's the bank's. This is exactly why you as an individual need to save for your own future. Watch out for those fraudulent Ponzi schemes they call pension plans. You have to do what you can as an individual to ensure your own wealth and ensure your own future. And people always depend entirely on the central banks, the banks, and the government, which is really sad, folks. These people depend on your servitude. If they shove you down a bottomless pit of debt, you are forced to ask for a ladder up from the government and the banking system, putting you in perfect servitude to them, right where they want you. So quit this. Get off that grid. Start, serving yourself and not serving the bankers as a willing participant or slave or cattle, because it's not going to go anywhere good, and you're going to be in very bad shape years down the road, if not even a year down the road. Who knows? Fundamentals are off the table due to the level of manipulation. So you can't put a date on the crash, but it's happening one way or another, and it's inevitable, and you need to break free from that and ensure your own wealth.
Well, we talked about so many banks. I don't know like how many videos we have on banks, Josh, and different scandals, bail-ins, all these things that they've done, talking about the manipulations of LIBOR, whatever it is, gold manipulation, silver manipulation, whatever they got their hands. Yeah, all of this stuff just comes, if you pick up a book, and read a little bit about monetary history, it wouldn't be very surprising that these banks are into these schemes, because they always have, ever since they got created, back almost at the Roman Empire, the earliest banks, earliest things of banks, they have, created a vast, just a strip of people and humans that have been, defrauded, stolen from, that have died because of them. And that's what they're continuing to do. If you let them, continue on this vast scale, just destroying people's lives, they're going to just continue doing it until somebody says enough is enough, let's pull all our money out, and that'd be game over for the bank.
Yeah, people are willing brainwash participants of this. And I mean, just a great example is Monte Paschi, which is one of the oldest banks in the world, is still around defrauding people, just still around scamming people.
Yeah, and that bank has failed 3 times. Like, it's failed 3 times. It was recapitalized the other times, and so was the last time. So it's just another, I just don't have any words anymore for these banks and what to really say of them, other than that they're, it's not the everyday person that sits at the teller. They don't know very much, but the higher up people, they're a bunch of scamsters. They're a bunch of crooks that are just siphoning off money off of our civilization in order to just benefit themselves, and that's what they're all about. That's their business model.
Yeah.
They gotta have to make money out of printing money, or take fees from people, or if you don't get enough people that are willing to put money into your bank, you just create a whole bunch of fake people, and then you make more money on.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with running a bank. It's immoral. I mean, considering that you're scamming people.
Reserve bank.
But it's important to say that there is a lot of things wrong with putting your money in the bank, and that's where individuals watching these reports have to understand is that they expect you to put your money in and keep your money safe, but your money isn't that safe in a bank. Trust me. I mean, look at history. Look how this has repeated over and over again. Your money is not safe in the bank, and in some cases, I would even say even in a bad neighborhood, it's more safe under your mattress. Not that I suggest you do that, but just think about that for a second. That is how unsafe it is, and these aren't the old savings and loans banks of the past. This is, these are insane, just over-the-top derivatives, absolute manipulation. These are master manipulators. It's all centralized. You need to decentralize, folks. Decentralize everything. And I guess we could leave it off on that point, John, because we've gone into this so many times. It's exhausting. But anyway, thanks for going into this with us, John. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized and censored by YouTube as the ADL comes in and flags all of our content as hate speech. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also find us at steemit.com at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in Steem, the cryptocurrency. And also find us at the Red Pill Expo, which we have a reference link for below in the description and the comments as well. Hosted by G. Edward Griffin, amazing speakers coming out to speak this year. Don't miss it. It's in Spokane, Washington, June 21st to 23rd. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.